Justin is continuing his Patreon request for me to review the movies of Charlie Chaplin, and now he has chosen for me to talk about The Great Dictator. Of Chaplin's entire filmography, this is certainly the most daring film he ever made. It's not just that he made a comedy poking fun at Hitler. He decided to make it even before the start of World War II, and when several countries were still trying to appease Hitler. The government of his native United Kingdom, led by Neville Chamberlain, even said they would ban the film from being shown because of this. Of course, because Chaplin tended to take a while to make his movies, by the time The Great Dictator was released in 1940, the UK was at war with Germany, and it became a big hit there. Why did Charlie Chaplin decide to make Hitler the subject of his satirical comedy? For starters, if you look at his filmography, he was clearly someone with no respect for powerful people who push others down. Another reason is I think Chaplin felt a certain kinship with the Jewish people. His half-brother Sidney was Jewish, and there were even people, including the Nazis, who assumed Chaplin himself was Jewish. Chaplin was once asked if he was Jewish, and he replied, "I don't have that honor." Chaplin was told by friends who lived in Europe how Nazis treated people, including Jews, and he felt a necessity to take aim at this fascist regime, especially since most of Hollywood was trying their best to ignore it. With that context, it makes one admire all the more how brilliant of a film The Great Dictator is. Chaplin was aware of how the Nazis used propaganda films like Triumph of the Will to spread their message, so he reasoned he could use the same medium to make them look foolish, which is why he chose to make this his first full talkie. He even studied the Triumph of the Will to match the shots and watched Hitler's speeches to capture his mannerisms when playing the fictional dictator Adenoid Hynkel. By speaking in primarily gibberish words when talking to the crowds and making other absurd gestures, he sought to make Hitler look ridiculous. Because that's how you take aim at someone like that. Mel Brooks once explained why he often made Hitler the subject of mockery. He said, if you stand on the soapbox and trade rhetoric with a dictator, you never win. But if you ridicule them, bring them down with laughter, they can't win. You show how crazy they are. And that's true. That's why you never see neo-Nazis and white supremacists quoting and praising The Great Dictator or The Producers or Jojo Rabbit, because they hate movies like this that mock their movement. Chaplin plays another role in the film as a Jewish barber who returns from the hospital to find out what has happened to his town. What's amazing is how he plays these roles in physically different ways, giving them unique facial expressions. The barber is a likable, charming character, while Hynkel is someone that's incredibly easy to hate. Meanwhile, Paulette Goddard plays Hannah, the woman who becomes very good friends with the barber, and she gives a wonderful performance, showing someone trying so hard to keep her head up during these difficult times. The movie also takes aim at Mussolini, with Jack Oakey playing a similar-looking dictator named Napoleone. The rivalry between him and Hynkel leads to several great bits as they compete against each other. Hitler's staff was parodied too, with Billy Gilbert getting a lot of laughs as Harry, the stand-in for Hermann Goring. This is a comedy where I could go on about several of the brilliant comedic set pieces that occur. The opening World War I sequence features several classic visual gags. The barber deals with the army machinery going wrong, and in many ways, this is almost a continuation of Chaplin's earlier film Shoulder Arms. A particularly cathartic moment is the scene where the barber first encounters the stormtroopers and stands up to them, leading to those men getting hurt, as well as a funny dance from Chaplin. A sequence that Chaplin uses to mock the entire notion of fascism is the globe dancing scene. In addition to being a great use of music, this moment shows how Hynkel and other dictators like him view the world as just a plaything they want to control, and that they only care about themselves. Hynkel just wants power, and he sees his conquests of other countries as the way to achieve it. The most famous part of The Great Dictator is the ending, when the barber ends up in disguise as Hynkel and having to speak to the world. In this moment, Chaplin drops character and gives a speech addressing his own views on the importance of democracy and not letting madmen rule the world. It's a brilliant speech, one which did have plenty of admirers, including President Franklin Roosevelt, who would encourage Chaplin to make The Great Dictator. However, there were also people who accused him of being preachy. It was a message that needed to be heard, though, and that speech remains relevant today. Another aspect I want to praise is the score, which was conceived by Chaplin in collaboration with Meredith Willson, who would later become famous for creating The Music Man. There are so many wonderful pieces of music in the film, ranging from military marches for Hynkel to the lovely compositions that accompany the barber and Hannah scenes. The Great Dictator is undoubtedly one of the most important films Charlie Chaplin ever directed. After the war, when the full extent of Hitler and the Nazis' atrocities were revealed, Chaplin said had he known everything that was happening in Europe at the time, he would not have made The Great Dictator. However, it's good that he made the film. The world needed a comedic genius like Chaplin standing up to a tyrant and destructive force and taking him down several pegs. And pretty much any satire about the Nazi regime, from To Be or Not to Be, to The Producers, to Jojo Rabbit, owes a debt to this movie. In addition to The Great Dictator, I also highly recommend the documentary The Tramp and the Dictator, which not only goes into the making of the film, but also a few of the surprising parallels between Chaplin and Hitler, and the revelation they apparently watched the movie twice. To conclude, The Great Dictator is another brilliant Charlie Chaplin film, and a further example of his ability mixing hilarious jokes with political commentary and heart-tugging moments. If you've seen the film, let me know your thoughts in the comments, and thank you for the request, Justin.